One of my favorite authors is Fyodor Dostoevsky, which I may have mispronounced the name a little bit, but man, it's a fun name to say. He was a Russian author that wrote these long, incredible novels that often were rather psychological, and they really probed into some of the deep and philosophical and even theological questions that we still ask today. Fyodor Dostoevsky loved the story of John chapter 8, where there's a woman who's caught in adultery, and the Pharisees bring her before Jesus, and they all say, Jesus, we're supposed to stone her. And he gets down on his knees, and instead of throwing stones, he starts writing things in the sand, maybe drawing things. But right there, Jesus takes a low posture and says, let the person who has no sin throw the first stone. And all the Pharisees leave, and she's left there alone with him. And then Jesus says, where are the people that condemn you? She says, they're nowhere to be found. He says, neither shall I condemn you. Go and leave your life of sin. I don't want to talk about her path. I want to talk about what Jesus did right there. Because Fyodor Dostoevsky noticed Jesus took a low posture and stood with her, not with the Pharisees. And I think that's the opposite shape of sin, because sin often tries to do this. It's what the Pharisees did. They stood separate from her, and they kept themselves standing above her so that they could look down on her. That right there is the shape of sin. It is the desire to be separate and to think that you're superior than other people. But in John chapter 8, Jesus does the opposite. He gets down on his knees and he sides with her. So be careful, because sin is sneaky. And in that story, you can think that those Pharisees were being really good and pious, but actually they were using religion in such a way to reinforce their need, their ego, their desire to be separate and superior than other people. And if there's any definition of sin for today, it's whenever we choose to be separate and superior to other people, rather than humble and identify with. So as you go about your life this week, pay attention, because every time you or I decide to identify as separate and superior to other people, we might be starting to give in to the sin of pride, of selfish ego. So every time you catch yourself making this journey, think about, what does it mean to be like Jesus and to be humble and identify with other people? May grace and peace be with you.